In Japan, Nintendo released a lot of games and applications that never made it to other regions outside of Japan. There's a lot of examples like the Mii channel, Rinoma, and Ankensaku. But there's one game in Japan that's really obscure. It's the predecessor to Tomodachi Life, Tomodachi Collection. This is one of the few games on the original DS that featured Mii's and is where Mii's originated from. I'll start by going over the development of the game, since the development is pretty interesting and is linked to the Mii channels and Wii Sports' development. In 2000, there was a game released called Tokoko Hamataru Tomodachi Daisaku Deku, or Hamataru Operation Friend in English, if I said that correctly. Takahashi worked on this game. Takahashi was the director of Tomodachi Collection, and this game is kinda similar to it. The game lets you register friends' profiles, predict the compatibility between friends, and see who is in the best shape that day. The problem was that people who were not fans of Hamataru weren't really interested in it. After this was made, a female staff member at the time said, "I want software that adult women can play," to her boss, Mr. Sakamoto. Sakamoto is the producer for Tomodachi Collection. This was around October 2005. Sakamoto said, "There was a piece of software like this, but I wanted to make a version that adult women could play." At the time, Takahashi was a programmer for Rhythm Heaven on the GBA, and after being approached by Sakamoto about the project, he decided to leave Rhythm Heaven and was in charge of this new software. The name for it was Otana no Una Yuwana Teko, or Adult Women's Fortune Telling Notebook in English. You could tell by the name that this was being targeted to adult women. The reason why it was being made was to expand the user base by making something that adult women would enjoy. The features that were added at first were adding a name and a birthday, but it felt tasteless to the developers, so they decided to add a character creator. The idea of how it would be set up is that there's an outline of a face, and there are also parts you can use, and the face is made by combining those parts. It was originally planned to be 2D since it seemed easier, but the team said, "Let's do 3D anyways." After that, the character creator was shown off slightly, but it wasn't able to make unique faces, so the ability to rotate parts of the face, zoom in and out, and change the position of them was added, and it was able to make faces pretty well. After Mr. Sakamoto saw it, he was overjoyed and went to show it to Iwata. It was around the start of 2006. After Iwata saw it, he showed it to Miyamoto since it was similar to a character creator he wanted to make but couldn't make a game out of. After that, Miyamoto joined the project, and the characters were now called Mii's. The DS Mii Maker got a lot of stuff added to it, with it being able to make many different faces. There's some pictures and footage of it. It has a scrolling background with all the Mii's in one room. They dance, move around, and do poses. The Mii Maker is really similar to the Mii channel in this version. After you made a Mii, they were put in the room. Around this time, Yamashita, one of the developers making Wii Sports, had an idea to make characters you could use in Wii Sports to make people feel like a professional at it, and for it to have a more realistic aesthetic. Someone showed him the DS character software, and he realized that the software to make characters was already done. So the team working on the DS started to make it for the Wii instead, so it could be used for Wii Sports and be a new feature for the Wii. Adult Women's Fortune Telling Notebook stopped being worked on so the Mii channel could be made. The Mii's went through a few design changes while Wii Sports was being developed. Some of the footage from the early versions of Wii Sports show early Mii's. The main difference is that they have 3D ears and 3D noses, which look weird. They also made sure to add a feature that allows the Mii channel and the DS to communicate and share Mii's. This can be enabled by pressing A, B, 1, and 2 when on the Mii channel. After that, they made the Everybody Votes channel, which took until April 2007 for it to be finished fully. They resumed the project right after and changed the name to Tomodachi Collection. They decided to change the name so the game would be made for everyone to enjoy instead of just adult women. There were also a lot of jokes put in that only the people inside the company would understand. Anyways, in the Iwata Asks article about this game, they talked about the music, and the person who made the map music said, "I made a melody that sounded like a person playing a recorder badly with a slightly dirty sound called blah. This is what's playing right now." But he made sure it's a song he would like to listen to. This is what's playing right now. The Miis didn't debut on the DS with Tomodachi Collection, but with Life Rhythm DS or Personal Trainer Walking in the US. I think the name should have stayed with Life Rhythm DS since it sounds better. But apparently, a lot of the stuff added in was unintentional, which is why there's a lot of inside jokes, with strange content being added more and more during development. Apparently, one of the programmers added a Mii singing for fun, and they added it to the game. This led to an idea of having the Mii speak, and the realistic pictures in the game were added since one of the people working on it felt too lazy to draw and put a Mii's face over an image, and it became a feature. A feature for finding what job would be suitable for someone based on their personality was worked on for a while. It ended up becoming the Hall of Suitable Jobs and was exclusive to Tomodachi Collection. One of the developers working on the game learned how to treat subordinates from in-house training, and when he was done with the training, he realized he could use this and made a personality chart for the game. Personality was divided into 4 parts, with 4 subcategories for each part that help it get a more accurate gauge on personality. So Nintendo's HR department technically helped make the game unintentionally. And that's pretty much the full development. Tomodachi Collection was released on June 18th, 2009 only in Japan, while the sequel to this game, Tomodachi Life, was released for every region. One thing interesting is that Tomodachi Collection is 60 FPS, while Tomodachi Life is 30. The reason it wasn't released in the US was because they couldn't make the vocal synthesizer English. The vocal synthesizer is needed so the Miis can talk. The Miis do speak some English in the game, but it's not perfect. When you have them say something in English, they just say a letter at a time or actually the word. When starting the game, it has you put in the time. The time in the game is real time. This means if you play at night, it's night in the game. There are also seasonal events that decorate the island. You get a small island in the middle of the sea and you get to name it. You then make a Mii lookalike to live on the island. The game's soundtrack is pretty good. You then go to the Mii maker and you hear the music, which sounds good. It has all the same features as the one on the Wii. There is extra stuff like putting in the year born and blood type. Blood type is here because of blood type personality theory, which is popular in Japan. It says that a person's blood type can determine someone's personality and what personality they were likely to fall in love with. You can also make a voice for your Mii. You can set it to what you want or select random. You can make some pretty weird sounding voices. You then get to set the personality settings. This has you put in whether their actions are slow or quick, if their speech is mild or straight, if they look cool or emotive, if their mindset is negative or positive, and if overall they're weird or normal. After that, it shows you their personality. There's a lot of different types. The main 4 are cool, dry, calm, and fun. Cool is cool, and the traits are reserved, careful, stubborn, logical, and indifferent. Dry is confident. The traits are formal, hates to lose, short-tempered, frank, and obsessive. Calm is gentle. The traits are take things slowly, naive, delicate, meek, attentive, and kind. Fun is good-humored. The traits are energetic, believes in a hunch, sketchy, optimistic, and sensitive. There are also 4 subcategories for each personality that better describes them. Cool has bashful, sharp, quiet, and careful. Bashful is very patient, cares more about others than oneself, might explode if things go over the limit. Sharp is always serious with everything, quiet but straightforward. Very afraid to break rules. Quiet is very reserved, and unable to say things frankly to people, but has a strong will. Careful doesn't show emotions much, and always thinks about everything carefully. Dry has alert, active, candid, and drastic. Alert likes challenges, gets more enthusiastic if the goal is more difficult, and is a little clumsy. Active is a strict leader, always tackles things with full strength, and suffers from a gap between ideal and reality. Drastic prefers to do things in his/her own way, doesn't listen to others, and is a competent type. Calm has soft, smiley, gentle, and mellow. Soft is the soothing type, always shows emotions obviously on his/her face. Smiley always smiles to people and always makes people laugh, but is actually reliable. Gentle usually worries about others and wants to get along with everyone and easily trusts people. Mellow is a relaxed and carefree type, very laid back, but has a lot of things to worry about. For fun, there's shiny, intense, noisy, and flair. Shiny is everyone's idol, always so energetic and full of motivation, quite struggling behind the scenes. Intense is very energetic and determined, likes to do things on a whim and no one can stop him/her. Noisy enjoys everything in life, has fun even in bad situations, and can immediately befriend people. Flair is the hot-blooded type, likes to get involved with other people, and is somewhat pushy. That's all the personalities a Mii can get. This is honestly pretty accurate if you can enter it correctly. After your Mii is made, the apartment appears and you go to meet your Mii. Your Mii says they feel lonely since there's no one else on the island and that they want friends. So you make another Mii. After you add another Mii, your Mii lookalike satisfaction level goes up. After it reaches max, they level up. You can give them a song to sing, an item, interior, and phrase. There's only 8 items and one of them is a Wii. When they play the Wii, they play Wii Sports. It isn't on the screen, but you can hear the sound effects. There's also a DS. I'm pretty sure they play New Super Mario Bros. On it. The Miis use the items you give them, and they are the same color as their favorite color. For songs there's enka, rap, ballad, rock, J-pop, and idol. You can change the lyrics to the song they sing. They are also all in Japanese, so unless you know Japanese, you don't know what they're saying. When they sing, the lights dim and they get a microphone. They also do a pose at the end of the song. Interiors change how the apartment looks. There's only a few though. Phrases let you give them a catchphrase. Anyways, after you make your second Mii, they want food and the food shop opens. The food being sold at the food shop changes daily. If you buy something, it's added to the catalog and you can buy it whenever. After you give a Mii food, you can get some unique reactions. If they hate it, they fall on the ground. If they love it, the camera zooms in and they dance. After the Mii eats, the city hall appears and you get Mii News. Mii News shows you what's happening on the island. If you turn your game off without saving, you get news saying to remember to save before turning your DS off. If you do it twice, the Miis on your island lose satisfaction. Anyways, the city hall lets you make Miis and transfer Miis from a Wii or DS to get items. It also lets you see a personality chart of all the Miis on your island. After that, the next problem that appears tells you to check the fountain since people donated money to the island. You can only get donations once a day, and there are sometimes unique events there. Unlocking everything else on the island needs more Miis, and you also need to solve a certain amount of problems too. These problems are either them being hungry, wanting a new interior, and a new outfit. They also sometimes get into fights, or want to play a game with you. If they don't like what you give them, you don't get anything and they can lose satisfaction. There's a lot of different buildings on the island. There's the Mii Apartments, Apparel Shop, Blessing Fountain, City Hall, Compatibility Tester, Food Mart, Interior Shop, Job Diagnosis, Mii News, Pawn Shop, Question Hall, and Ranking Board. That's quite a lot. The Apparel Shop is where you get your Mii's clothes. There's a seasonal section for the season. The catalog also changes daily. You can't select a specific color. You have to wait for the color you want to appear in the daily section. The Blessing Fountain is where you get donations and see events. There's Morning Market, Street Live, English Lesson 1, English Lesson 2, and Street Live again. These happen during the day. Morning Market is where Mii sell items you can buy. They are usually a lot cheaper than getting them at a store. Street Live is where they play music. The music they usually play changes, and they move around holding instruments. English Lesson 1 has the Mii Speak English, which is the closest to an English translation there is. Lesson 2 is similar, but with different words. It's also called Let's Speak English. The English doesn't sound perfect though, with it kinda being hard to understand. The next building is City Hall. We already went over that. This game doesn't have an autosave, so you need to go here every time you want to save, or press the stop button on the island. Compatibility Tester lets you see how likely Mii's are able to get along or date. If two Mii's like the same person, they usually don't get along well. It also shows a message about the relationship. Depending on how well the relationship is, changes the music. The next building is Food Mart. We also went over it already. The Interior Shop is where you get interiors for your Mii. It's also the most expensive thing on the island. Mii sometimes ask for new interiors. This has more options than the one you get when Mii's level up. Job Diagnosis lets you see what jobs the game thinks the Mii's on your island should get. It's usually a picture with a Mii's face on it. You can also rotate the face by moving the stylus on the bottom screen. Mii News shows what's happening on the island. There's also some unique news you can get every day that involves the Mii's on your island. It has your Mii's reacting to events that happen. They sometimes get pretty weird, with there being some pretty funny ones too. The pawn shop lets you sell assets Mii's give you for money. You can sometimes get a lot for items. The question hall lets you ask questions. They can either be a drawing or text. The Mii's usually give a response to the drawing. The rankings board is where you get rankings of the Mii's on your island, from most popular to least popular. You can also see the compatibility and how likely some of the islanders will fall in love. Some of your Mii's work part-time jobs at some of the buildings too. There's also a lot of games you can play with the Mii's on your island. The first one is impossible if you only know English, and is a bit weird. It has a Mii drawing a kanji with a butt, and they draw two kanjis. You have to pick the item that has the kanjis in the name. The next one is Drama Doll. This is Red Light Green Light, a popular children's game. You've probably heard of it since it got popular recently from a TV show. It has you move towards a Mii facing the wall, and stop when they turn around. There's also a 30-second timer on the top left. The Mii says the Drama Doll fell down when they turn around. You win when you touch the Mii. The next one is card and is luck based. The goal is to get 2 red cards. You lose if the Mii picks the correct card. You pretty much have to pick the same card you have to win. Look that way has you point in a direction. If the Mii faces the same direction you pointed in, you lose. The next one is rock, paper, scissors, look that way. It's a combination of look that way and rock, paper, scissors. After either of you win rock, paper, scissors, you play look that way. The person who wins gets to point in a direction. The next one is silhouette quiz. It has you trying to figure out which item is blacked out. Match has you match 6 pairs of panels, and you can only miss 5 times. The last 2 can be called pseudo games. Back scratch has you try to scratch the itchy part of a Mii's back by using the clues they give you. Mosquito has you try to swat the mosquito that keeps getting on the Mii's faces. When you miss them, the Mii gets mad and hit. That's all the games. Miis can sometimes have dreams at night. When you tap the bubble on top of them, it lets you see their dream. There's actually a lot, but I'll go over the ones I managed to get. Also, you can see dreams you've gone before by using the hypnosis set. It shows a ton of bubbles that show what dream it is. Anyways, the first one is this weird pea one. You were able to pop them, and Miis come flying from them. The second one has a Mii talk to an object, and it responds by moving. The third one has a Mii yell towards a mountain to hear an echo. The fourth one has a Mii in space, and when you tap them, they go flying out away from you. The fifth one has a Mii telling someone they're gonna go somewhere while looking sad. The sixth one has some luck through food. The seventh one has you help a Mii cross a place high up. If they fall down, they wake up. The eighth one has a Mii go to the bathroom, but every star is taken. The ninth one has you feed Miis that look like birds. The 10th one has you put pepper on a Mii so they sneeze. The 11th one has a Mii getting stalked by someone. And the last one has a Mii jump off a building with a rope on them, probably. Probably since they ask if it's on. That's all the dreams I managed to get. There's quite a few unused assets in the files for the game. These were posted on the cutting room floor if you would like to check them out. The first two are just placeholders. One for a font, and another for Mii News. The next one is an early apartment box. This is rectangle shaped, where the final version is box shaped. This doesn't have any text. The next one is an early version of the job diagnosis box and the building. The area looks different with it looking more like a job diagnosis building, unlike the final where it's in a tent. There's also a table in the files for this building, but it's unused. There's another pop-up box for a location called Majority Hall. There's 4 different colored faces in the files that match the same colors 1 through 4 have on the Wii. There's actually a stock image in the files for people riding a roller coaster. Also, this image of a tree that looks like it was drawn in MS Paint. There's also this bookshelf. There's an object in the files called obj.nanr that has a lot of different images. It has a red balloon with an animation, a book, an orange, a star changing color, a bell, a Christmas stocking, and a blue and purple bar decoration. The next few are for a vacation. There's a Spain flag, a Japanese flag, an early version of the end message that plays after a vacation, an arrow, and an early version of the next and say cheese button. Vacation only has a lot of unused content. There's an image of an early version of the airplane at the start and an early version of the camera. There are a few images from the early version of the Spain vacation. Also a few from the vacation to Okinawa. There's also a single stock image of the pyramids of Giza. That's it for vacation. There's also some more unused images, like a Christmas tree background that looks like it was made in MS Paint. There's a stock image of a hand pointing up, probably used for look that way. An early button layout for Mii News. There's 2 unused models that seem to be from Utana no Una Yuwana Teko, or Adult Women's Fortune Telling Notebook in English. There's one of a guy and a girl, and they both have early animations. There's another early Mii model that was used for testing in the files. There's also this robot model. Don't know what this would have been used for. Maybe Mii News? There's also a jar with ratings on it. There's an early version of the town hall. This probably would have had a Mii give you options instead of just buttons like the final. There's also an early version of the island map. It has some trees with lines over it that might have been where Miis would walk to get to different buildings. There's some models for it too. There's an early version of the rankings board model that has a crown icon moving on the top of it, a job diagnosis building with an icon of a person moving up and down on it, an early version of the clothing store with a shirt and pants bouncing up and down, an early version of the food market with a cashier on top also bobbing, an early version of the interior shop with the interior bouncing on top, an early version of the voting area with Mii's waving the arms up and down, and finally an unused version of the apartment. There's also an early version of the skybox present. These must have been for an early version of the island. Here's a recreation I made of what it looks like all together. There's one unused track called seq_drum_test that has the same drum beat as the level up sound. Here's a comparison. This was also a placeholder in the Tomodachi Collection demo. It's also assumed that the original idea for Utena no Una Yuwana Teko became DS Yuwana Seikatsu, or DS Fortune-telling Life in English. I went through the files and found some undocumented music. The first one is called request_test, and there's 2 of them. The next one is sleep_test and sounds similar. There's also this cafe music. I'm unsure if it's anywhere in the game or if it's unused. There must have been a scrap cafe building, similar to the one in Tomodachi Life. There's actually an early version of Tomodachi Collection called Tomodachi Collection Demo. This was exclusive to the Nintendo channel in Japan and is really obscure. It starts on the title screen, unlike the final way into the date. The logo is also different. It starts with an introduction similar to the normal version, except telling you to get the full version. This doesn't have an English translation, so it's in Japanese. When you get to the Mii Maker, the music is different. Here's a comparison. After that, you make another Mii since your Mii feels lonely. When you get to the food mart, the music is different. It plays Drum Test, the same unused song that was in the files for the final game. The game is actually faster too. Miis get problems quicker, and they get hungry way faster. You get 6 pieces of clothes, and also 6 interiors for your Miis. You just select the interior in this version. It doesn't pop anything else up, just the name of it. The music is different for the apartment and sounds more retro or 16-bit kind of. One thing I noticed is that they reference the demo in the Tomodachi Life demo. Both demos give you animal costumes. Not sure why though. I am also not sure how far you can get in the game. It might be possible to beat it, but I'm not sure though. Tomodachi Collection is a really great game. It's a shame it's exclusive to Japan. That was a fan-made translation of the game, but it's not perfect because the Mii still speak Japanese. Its sequel, Tomodachi Life, or Tomodachi Collection New Life in Japan, is more expanded on, featuring more items, dreams, and random stuff that happens on the island. But I'll go over that another time. That's all for the video. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. It helps a lot since I usually spend a lot of time making these videos the best I can. Goodbye, and I hope you all have an incredible day.